Colleagues, good morning. I've been asked in the interest of time to cut it as short as possible, and we will be engaging further to discuss extensively what we think of the electronics hub and the electronics market. In my slides, do not worry, I'm going to jump quite a few slides so that I can zero in into what are we looking to do in the electronics hub. We probably will start off by setting the burning platform. This is a huge market. It has a huge potential. The figure that we are showing is just for South Africa, the 12 billion that we as consumers are spending on electronics. And now when we talk about electronics today, we are talking about your audiovisual, we're talking about your laptops, we're talking about your cell phones, etc. We're not talking about appliances as yet. So this expenditure is still based on the things in front of you that you carry on a day-to-day basis that naturally have a shelf life of about 12 to 36 months, and then you have to replace. Now, the inverse of this is that as we spend the 12 billion, we also are exporting as a nation close to 70% of the products that we manufacture locally. I will probably touch again those products that are manufactured locally. These are some of the products that are manufactured locally with the latest stats of the potential market growth. And I think this is what triggers the excitement for beginning to think and look at what is possible in this space. Huge growth, your activities around the whole globe looking to digitize, migrating from analog to the digital space. Equally, it pushes into this growth of electronics consumption. The drive, again, for what Carlos was talking about, Internet of Things, is going to be equally informing extensively the consumption of electronics in the market space. So we are quite excited. The general tendency of the consumers, the evolution of the way we consume and the evolution of how we live is generally informing extensively the market potential and the market growth of electronics in the country. When we look at the industrial electronics hub, we understand very clearly that it is not anywhere defined as a special economic zone. There are no incentive schemes set aside for this project per se. But we understand that there are players in the sector that influence extensively our business, and we use this as a litmus test to define the future. It's almost like our looking glass. What is the future looking like? Looking at the Dube trade port, what kind of activity and economic growth has resulted by having that space created there? What has come out from Kucha in the last few years? And your IDs is your innovation hub in Pretoria. And this immediately informs us that it is possible with a cluster approach, again, with our approach of the industrial electronics hub. And the opportunities that we are citing, again, we might be drilling these numbers again so that it is clearly understood that having done the market analysis of the electronics market, we are convinced that there are your low-hanging fruits. And what are these low-hanging fruits for us? The low-hanging fruits are the government projects or your government-driven projects. For example, the digital migration on its own will realize 2.75 billion rands in enabling set-top boxes to the indigent families. Based on the census conducted recently, the last census, it must have been 2011, there is at least of the 5 million indigent people, 2.something million, 2.2 in KZN, who are going to be beneficiaries of those set-top boxes. So immediately you can see that there is a market for set-top boxes and a market for your new products, your new TV sets that will be coming out, replacing your analog TV sets. And we're also looking at your electronics market, your metering market. Government needs to ensure that it measures the offerings, the sale of electricity, the sale of water. It needs to be properly measured. So Your smart meters are going to be the next evolution into this space. Then we have thought through this thing, and we realize that one of the biggest differentiators in setting up a cluster or setting up an industrial hub is to be able to have test facilities. To build a factory and to have beautiful buildings that manufacture any electronic wear, anybody can build an electronic wear, is not sufficient. But for sustainability, you need to have a test lab that will offer more than just the manufacturing, but give support to the sustainability of your products and longevity. And test facilities generally are not only centered to the establishment. Their test facilities naturally are opened to international players in the electronics market. For example, we are talking about tests to the extent of your drop test, your EMF test, any tensile test. There are quite a number of tests that need to be done on any product. And these are the tests that we think can give credence to the market that we're talking to. Historically, my colleague talked about that in our history, we have always been in the forefront in terms of technology. Somewhere, we have stepped back or we have slipped off the pedal, but we have not totally lost the mark. We are still there in the global space, and we can still grow. And this, for us, is one of those opportunities that can be used for us to remain those technology leaders. A few years ago, we were told that, or rather a few years ago, I'm getting some lot of signals down there. A few years ago, South Africa used to be bad performers in soccer. And in '96, we played well. But thereafter, we are horrible. In technologies like that, we have changed, and we have turned the corner. And we believe, using that analogy, we are going to be able to turn this corner by looking at the opportunities and the available technical advances that we have as a world leader in technology, in ICT broadly. The last point there, if we can look at, I think it's quite exciting to note that telecoms in South Africa contributes close to 4% into our GDP. Just looking at the infrastructure, telecom on its own runs at least 43,000 plus kilometers of fiber in the country. Now, we have not yet considered your National Long Distance Consortium. We have not considered fiber core and all the other players that come into the space. So we have a strong infrastructure in the country. These are some of the market business potentials continued. Now, I'd like to look again at our spend in the country, just to again show you that there is this opportunity on the continent. We need to stop consuming. South Africa, 12 billion. The continent, 4 trillion. Can we consider having that 4 trillion being invested in the continent instead of us spending 4 trillion rands of our money buying electronics from other countries outside our continent? And these are some of the opportunities that we're saying are there. These are some of the realities that we need to be talking to. Again, the hub needs to offer, a decentralized growth. We are told that in the next few years, there is going to be 60 to 70% of our population migrating to the city centers. And if we do not harness this, if we do not rein it in by ensuring that we decentralized, we run the risk of having the entire citizenry in the developed areas of our country. And to be able to manage this, we need to ensure that we evenly distribute our economic growth. And this now talks to uThukela as a hub, why it needs to be in existence and running in. What do we want to do at uThukela? I'm now chased. These are the 4 areas that we're looking at. A 4-pronged approach. We are looking at manufacturing in uThukela and supported by research and development. This is to ensure that there is sustainability. We are continuously innovative, creating new ideas that feed to all the products that are being manufactured. I have talked about the life cycle of your of your electronic product being 2 to 3 years. So if you are not having R&D, you are not going to be able to compete on a continuous basis. Then your skills development. A lot of times when you say come to Tukela, people get scared. What is there for us? So skills development is to enable that gap is bridged. We need to ensure that there is going to be continuous support that feeds into the industrial hub. We are not going to be only looking at the industrial hub scales facility, but this is going to be a partnership project with the TVETs in the neighborhood, the Mnambiti FET currently, which will be known as the TVET, your Durban University of Technology. These are going to be our partners in ensuring that we develop the skills that feed into this. But they will be offering your peripheral skills, and then your core manufacturing skills will be done at the hub. And lastly, we are looking at the test lab that I'm talking to. One of the things that we're probably not aware of, South Africa has a test bed that we are running in the south, a very viable test bed that attracts international ballistic equipment manufacturers who go out there and do their tests on our space. And we think that the area of test laboratories has a huge potential. Each product that has to come into the country needs to be type approved to ensure that it doesn't cause any impedance or noise factors as we are communicating. So the test lab has a long-term life, and we think that it brings a lot of value for us. What are we going to be doing in Utukela? These are some of the things. Phase 1 of the project has 137 million rands investment on the infrastructure. And in the phase 1, there's going to be your test lab, there's going to be your skilling center and manufacturing. Phase 2 is 8 million, which is a build-up, expansion further to the phase 1 establishments. Phase 3 is a finalization to ensure that we have a nice place to work at. You will have your crashes, you'll have your gyms, you'll have all your fitness places. My colleague here was worried about the bread and wanted us to have fruit. So yeah, I think the gym would take place of this. What revenue do we project from here? These projections are over a 10-year period. Electronics is not a high, employer, high number employer, but it has quality jobs that are sustainable over a long period. Direct jobs that are projected is going to be 300. And indirect, a multiplier factor of 6 is going to be 1,800. We think that the revenue that will be realized in the district municipality will be in the region of 1 billion in terms of taxes. So there'll be money that is circulated, both directly and indirectly, in terms of trading and ensuring that there are economic transactions, economic activity taking place in the district municipality. Now, some of the things that we've been toying around are equally some of the sweeteners. What is a sweetener for investment in any area today? It's no longer your mountains, it's no longer your rivers, but it's what do you have to offer in terms of ICT? Do you give us broadband? Do you give us ease of communication? Do you give it to us at an affordable rate? And we even spoke to the municipal mayor. We said, Mayor, give the people broadband. Give it to them. It must be accessible. It must be available 24/7, and it must be affordable. The learners must have Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi must be free. It must be a given. It must be like salt and water, And we thought that if the municipality can adopt that strategy, we can immediately transform, revolutionize that area, and attract investors in no time. These are the nice things that we talk about, to sound like some of us have seen the classroom or we've seen MBA studies. But these are some of the go-to strategies that my colleagues insist that we talk about and we look at, but you would know them also. Value proposition, that's what it is. And as my colleagues have said, these slides are going to be up on the .com slide, and I don't like .com, I like .za. So WW Africa must, I don't want to be against my colleagues, but I love .za, you just have. But finally, Our production focus, as you see, year one, we have 3 products that are planned. It's product, your set-top box, then you have your cable, and then the third product is tablets. Again, it's in line with what the government wants to do. 1 tablet per child, our set-top, which is part of the digital migration plan, and then your cable. Every other gadget needs cable to connect and communicate. So you can see our product range, products increases. Now I'm referring to the last block. You see our products increase in year 3, 4, and 5. But if you see our set-top box, which starts off as the highest product, it drops over the years. And it means that as we continue, we need to replace a set-top box with a new product and find other replacement products going forth. Building it together, come next year. I think next year we'll be able to be talking more about our plans. And here on the 26th and 27th February, or you can visit us online or visit us in our project that's running in KZN somewhere in the Tukela. And I want to thank you so much. I'm being rushed. You know, there's a lot of hand signals, but yeah. Thank you.